Coming up today on That LTD Life, I'm going to dig deep into NinjaPipe. This is a new CRM that's available as a lifetime deal at AppSumo, and a lot of people want to know, how does it compare to AmWork, which is a video I made last week. Very popular deal, a lot of people like it, but they want to know, should they consider NinjaPipe instead? So I'm going to make this video here to help you make that decision for yourself. But I got to tell you, I came into this thinking, wow, this looks like it's going to be a great CRM. And I say that with a few caveats. I think in general, CRMs are something that most people hate. They don't like using them. They're difficult. They're overpriced. So I think there's a lot of room here for a really good LTD. But you'll see. So plans and pricing all look pretty good on the AppSumo deal page. $59 is tier 1. We can go down to the pricing down here and you can see tier 3 is unlimited everything. You get literally everything. You can use it as much as you want. There are no limitations to speak of for just a one-time purchase of $300. That sounds pretty enticing. Heck, I mean, I think even the other plans are fairly generous with their limits. If only. Okay, so just like I did with AmWork, I have tested this tool before hitting record, and everything that could have gone wrong basically has. So first of all, when I connected up my AppSumo account, this is the second time in 2 weeks. I've never had this happen before, but I got put into the free plan rather than an AppSumo tier 1. You can see it says free plan up here. If I click it, I have all of the free plan limitations. So word to the wise, you can try it out for free without even buying on AppSumo if you want to check this out. But I think by the end of the video, you might not really want to do that. Okay, so when I first figured out that I was on the free plan, I was like, this cannot be happening again. What is going on? I reached out to their support right away. And to my surprise, within moments, they replied positively that, oh, no problem. This happens sometimes. We will get you sorted out. I said right away, thank you. That'd be wonderful. I'm trying to make a video review. Let's get this thing going so I can actually record the video, and then nothing. So it's been a while. I've been trying out the tool in the meantime. And I can see that there's definitely some things that need to be fixed. Okay, so I'm going to try to have a good open mind about this as I demonstrate it for you. But first of all, this is the welcome page that you see. Now, what do you think you want to see most when you hit your CRM's homepage? I think usually it's going to not just be how many contacts you have, how many pipelines you have, how many deals you have, but maybe some actionable data where you can actually click on buttons and get right into things. But yet, none of these are clickable at all. So that's a little bit of a bummer. I do have a task list down here. I was trying out the tasks. It's an interesting setup, but we'll go into that momentarily. And then I've got a get startup section over here. Maybe this will go away in a few days. I don't know, but I can't make it go away no matter what. It just, I've done all of these things. I've gone through the app with, as much as I can do it on the free plan. I've gone through everything I can. So I'm started. And by the way, there's also this onboarding thing. I've dismissed it 3 times now. It just keeps coming back. Like, I'll show you. I'll just reload this page. And here it is. It's back again. Now, it wouldn't bother me so much if it didn't look like it was a chat interface. Like, chat is included in this application, so it's broken as well. But if I wanted to access the chat, I would probably think it would be over here, but it's not. This is just the onboarding. You can see it's 100%. I want to dismiss it. It just won't go away. Reload, and sure enough, here it's back again. Next, let's talk about the menuing system. In my opinion, NinjaPipe looks great. Like, if you just look at it, it is visually pleasing. However, from a logic point of view, things are just a mess. They're just laid out in completely nonsensical ways. The very first item I see next to overview is AI tools, which is weird. Like, I was thinking, they're going to be like image generation in this? What is going on? But it turns out there's only one AI tool, and it's called Workflows. This is their automation system. So even when you click into it, it says automations here, but it's a different label right there. All right, I can let that slide. It's a naming convention. It's not very clear, but that said, all right, that's the first thing I see. What is the first thing I typically want to see? Well, that would be the pipeline, right? That's the most important thing in a sales CRM. So the pipeline is actually hidden here under a submenu. I've got to go under sales and then over to pipelines. Now, I only have one pipeline here, so it should just open me up into the pipeline, but it doesn't do that. I have to click on that card and then it displays the pipeline. Now, there was even some issues with just creating this pipeline, so I'm going to try to recreate it for you. I would create a second one, but the limits on my free plan are so low. I'm going to delete the existing pipeline I have. I'll choose delete and go ahead and hit yes, delete. And now I can create a brand new one, which is a pretty straightforward process. I'll just call it my sales pipeline. I can choose an icon. There's a few to choose from here. They're categorized. So Maybe I'm going to do a tech pipeline and I'm going to do a rocket. All right. And we can choose a color here. How about red? Oh, that didn't save. Red, save. There's a save button, but it's the same as all of these other colors. All right, red is saved. I'll hit create. And now I'm taken into a pipeline, but it doesn't give me any columns to begin with. I actually have to add those manually. I've never seen another Kanban type of tool that doesn't at least start you with 2 columns to go from one place to another, but this one doesn't give you any at all. That's all right. There are some templates here, which on the surface look pretty nice. And in fact, they cover more than just sales pipelines. We've got project management, which is interesting because all of my boards are going to live under this sales category, which is weird to me that I would put a project management Kanban board under the sales submenu. That's the way it works. Okay, so I'll go with it. I'm just going to start with this sales pipeline template. Now, here is where I ran into an issue. I hit use template. Oh, this time it loaded right away. The last time I got a spinning wheel, it never finished. I actually had to restart the application and then eventually it came up. So maybe that was a one-time thing. I don't know, but I just want to document all of the errors or at least a good chunk of them. Honestly, everything has been broken with this app. So now that I've got a sales pipeline here, I can add some new items to it. So I'll add my new prospect. I'll call him Jim Johnson. And now notice that even though I just added a prospect here, it didn't really ask me for any information about that prospect. So I actually have to click in here again, and then I get the task information over here to the right. Why not just pop this up as I'm actually creating the card? Typically on a sales pipeline, each card is going to be tied to a contact. That contact could be a company, it could be a client, but it's typically going to be something other than just, like a simple project name or something like complete this task. So inside of the editing tasks, I can choose a different stage. Notice how hard it is to read these stages because we have the green color conflicting with this light blue color and then the type right here. It's difficult. If you have any color blindness at all, I imagine this would be very difficult. And it doesn't really get any better as you choose how something is a priority. You can see that they like to use the same color, just a different intensity of that color for the background. Some of these are okay, but again, just from an accessibility point of view, you probably would want to go with just, a dark color text on this light of a background. But all right, let's complete this task. We'll actually fill this out. So I'll give it a due date, say for next week. The priority I'm going to assign to be medium, and then I'm going to assign it to someone. Now, here is another issue. I have created myself as a team member, and then I added another kind of burner email address that I use as a contact. Well, my contacts show up inside of this, so I can actually assign tasks or sales pipeline issues, maybe accidentally, to a existing client. That's a little bit weird. Now I can add more than one person here, which I do like. I think too many tools of this nature limit you to just one contact. And a lot of times you need to have more than one person assigned to a task. So that's a nice thing to do. But that's it, right? These are all of the options I have in my pipeline. And I can't necessarily tie the pipeline itself to a company, which is really weird to me. So then as they move through my sales pipeline, I would want to move them over. There we go. And so here's the trick. You actually have to put it right on the title of the card in order to get it to move. Oh, wait, that didn't work either. All right. You get where I'm going with this. It's going to be just infuriating to try to get it there. I win to get it to go where you want. You can get them over to close. Not only do you win the sale, but you win the video game. I can't do it. There. Now, notice as I'm doing all this, it's telling me that I have unsaved changes. Have you seen a Kanban board where you had to save the changes? That's just weird. So I'm gonna hit save here and then my changes will have been made. But let's move it over again. I can't. And now I actually have to click save before I leave. If I just, let's say I go to my chat, I get a warning. But if I come back to my pipeline, again, multiple clicks here to get into everything. They're back on negotiation. When I clicked away a moment ago, it was under qualified. All right, so let's get a little deeper into the AI workflows because I think that's an interesting idea. So I'm going to go under AI tools and go over to workflows. And there's a demonstration, a video that pops up the first time you do this. And it talks about using AI to book appointments for you. All right, cool. Let's try to recreate that. So in order to do so, I'm going to create a workflow and I've already got one here. How do you think you would edit this? You probably click on the pencil icon, right? No, that just changes the title. To actually update the workflow, it's not this button either. you actually have to click on this little lightning bolt over here, and that pops open their builder. All right, weird, we can let it slide. Now, to recreate the process that they showed in the video, I'm going to choose a trigger of when a contact is added, and I'll just drop this over here. And then I can choose one of my contacts, but I don't really want to do that. I just want when any contact is added. Then I'm going to go under Actions, and I can have it schedule an appointment. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, that didn't work. All right, start again. There we go. Now it's connected up between when a contact is added, it's going to try to schedule an appointment. Now to do this, a few things need to happen. First, I want to click on the card. There we go. Finally worked. Now the appointment type I want to set up is an email appointment. Basically, the way I want to interact, I think, is going to be via email. And then I need to choose an email account. Now to do this, now it's working. All right. Initially, I could not get my SMTP account to actually connect. It was very frustrating. So if we go over to the Add Email Account section, you can see we can connect up Gmail accounts, which worked flawlessly right away. There's also Outlook. I didn't bother to connect my Outlook account, but I'm sure that would work as well. But we also have standard SMTP accounts. So if you don't use one of these providers, typically you'll be able to use your SMTP credentials. And I did that, but it just wouldn't save for the life of me. And only when I hit record did it actually eventually show up. So I'm not entirely confident in its ability to keep everything connected. I'm glad it's working now, but I do need to report that it was a little more than a little frustrating to try to get set up. There is a test option, and I was testing and it was saying that it was successful, and I would hit save configuration and it just would not be usable. So it looks like it's good to go now. All right, so let's finish up our automation here. So we want to schedule an appointment, and I want it to use this email address right here. And then I can paste in my booking link. Says this will work with any appointment booking tool. So I'm going to use TidyCal, and I'm going to give their AI some instructions. I want to talk about managing their website. That's a lot of what we do at Client Amp, is we manage other companies' websites and help them grow online. So we're going to set up a meeting for that. I'll keep the tone casual, and then I can add in some properties here. We can set a character count. 50 characters seems a little bit low. What's a tweet these days? A tweet is a maximum of 280 characters. Let's go with that. Now, next, I can tie this into an actual product or service. Now, I've actually added a product already, so I'm going to choose that one. I'll show you how to set up the products in a moment. So let's go ahead and save changes here. And now when a new contact is added, I should automatically send off an email and offer to schedule an appointment. So that should be pretty cool. Let's try it out. I'm going to publish. All right, here we go. We can see that our automation is called test. It's active right now. I'm going to try adding a new contact, and hopefully I actually get a message to schedule an appointment. Now, obviously, you can add contacts programmatically, so you can do it via webhooks, other integrations like Zapier and Pabbly. So you can see here, actually, another kind of comment on their organization system. Integrations, the third menu item over, a little bit weird, and our only options are Zapier, Pabbly, and they have an API. But actually, all of these links go to the same place. Well, I take that back. Looks like Zapier does not. But if I click on the Pabbly link, that takes me to the same thing that the NinjaPipe API section takes me to. And I've got more than that here. I can actually connect my own OpenAI key. I can connect up Twilio for sending out SMS messages, and then the Pabbly information is down here. So I think it would be much better to just move this over inside of some kind of user account settings, get this out of the main navigation bar and get that focused on actually using the tool. Okay, so as I was saying, we can add contacts programmatically, but I'm going to do it manually here because my automation doesn't say anything about how the contact was added, just that it would be added. So let's add a new contact here. You'll be able to see that process as well. Add a new contact. I'm going to call this person a lead, and this is Jessica Anderson, a generic name. I'm going to use my Outlook account for this. There's the obvious client information that you can add here, like an address and things like that. We can add their company name, the industry that they're in, and all the other pertinent details such as revenue and company size that would help you decide whether this lead was a good fit for your business. Of course, you need to figure that out. It's not just going to populate it for you. Then for our lead details, we can specify where they came from and what their status is. So I'm going to say this is in the qualified state. And we can set our preferred communication channel. So I'm going to just stick with email for this particular video. I've not set up SMS via Twilio, or obviously I can't implement any sort of phone system through this. So let's go ahead and save the contact. All right, so here is my new lead, Jessica Anderson, and hopefully Jessica is contacted shortly here via my automation. So let's go ahead and dig into this a little bit deeper. Now, the other options I have over here is the pencil icon to edit their account. It'll take me back to that same screen we just saw, as well as the chat bubble, which we'll dig into momentarily because I do have chat set up with my other contact here, Johnny Smith. So back over in my automations, you can see that it has not ever run yet. I'm going to just open it up again here and we can look into it, make sure everything is set up. So it's supposed to execute when a contact is added. And when I click on this again, you notice, remember before when I was setting this up, there's a list of my contacts. It doesn't show that any longer. So that's interesting. I think it might have just been a bug that was displaying kind of off to the side of the screen. But regardless, then the schedule appointment, all of these settings are still here. So I would expect that this should probably run at this point, but there's no way to specify how the contact is added, just that one is added. You can't even filter it out. So like when a contact is added as a lead, then it sends this off. Maybe you're importing your client that I've already booked offline. You don't want to import them as a lead. Well, if you set this up, there'd be really no way to get around any existing automations. All right, so this automation still has not run. I'll check back on it as we go through the tool to see if it ever actually sends, and then we can see the result. So let's proceed further. Let's talk about this chat option, because obviously that's something that people want. Chat's a really important way to communicate with your clients, but is this worth going through the process of doing so? First of all, here's what the chat looks like. You can see it's in a browser. It's kind of full width. There's no way to minimize this and do anything else. You'd have to have it open in a separate tab. So I'm logged in right now as a client chatting with Dave Swift, who's the owner of the account. Notice there's some AI powered suggestions here. I can type /ninja, and then as your client, you will get these options. You can send out some small talk or an icebreaker. So I'm going to send an icebreaker right now. I will be professional and use emojis because those two things don't go together very good. And then it says select from the message styles above and click generate. So I'm not sure what this box is for, but let's go ahead and generate. Oh, there we go. That's what the box is for. It's to display my message. And there is my icebreaker. I'm going to confirm the message and now I can send it. Now notice it doesn't update right here. So as a client, I am sending a message to my, the person I have hired to work on my website or perform services for me, my photographer, whatever it is you're going to use NinjaPipe for. I hit send and then nothing happens. Now over for me, I can click on chat right here. There's no real notification, I don't think. Yeah, I didn't get any notifications that I have a new chat. Of course, the onboarding is still here, but I can see when I actually click into chat actively that I can. All right, so I do have my messages here. I'm going to go ahead and send a reply. So I'll just say, hey, Johnny, and hit send. And once again, my message doesn't show up when I hit send. Now they do actually have an iOS app as well as an Android app, and this is what it looks like. I'm just running it on my Mac, kind of like in emulation. So it will look, slightly different on your phone. At least on my Mac, it cuts off this. And even if I resize it, so like if I had an iPad, it just gets really big. So I'm not really sure. I will just say that from a design perspective, it's not a very nicely laid out application, but notifications for chat have to be here as well, right? Well, what about this little ninja guy? I'm Zen. All right, so this is going to be my onboarding tool. Let's get started. Oh, he's back. All right, dismiss. All right, so hopefully that's gone from here, but there's no notifications about my chats here. So I'm going to click on this and I can see my most recent message. Let's go ahead and send a message from Johnny over to the mobile app and we'll see if we get any notification at all. Because under notifications, there's nothing about a new chat that was received or anything like that. So here's back to my client. I am now client Johnny, and I'm going to say, we got to get rolling and hit send. Now back over in my app, you'd expect to see something to indicate that a new message has been received, but yet there's nothing. Notifications. Nope. This is just all of the stuff I've done. Under my chat, I don't even see the message from Johnny. Let's open it up and now it shows up. So it doesn't even show me on this screen until I open up the chat to refresh it. The chat in NinjaPipe is definitely not something you want to rely on if urgent messages need to get through to you. All right, let's proceed. Let's go over to tasks. Tasks are an interesting thing to put into a CRM that are kind of completely standalone. Now, I've never seen a task system where everything was put into cards like this, but here we are, they're in cards. I'm gonna open up one of these tasks. So here's test. And when you open it up, you can set a start date and an end date. a title and a description. So fairly standard stuff here. I can't add any images or anything. This is it. There's no WYSIWYG editor or anything like that. I can go ahead and assign someone to the task. And I can also create, but notice when I assign people, I can assign existing clients. A little bit, again, odd since this isn't really, restricted to just a client view. But okay, let's go with it. I'm going to add Jessica to this. Why not? All right, now I can also add a subtask. So you can see the main task is up here called test. I'm going to add a subtask like subtask test, and I can assign someone to this. Let's add Johnny into the loop, and I'll hit add. Now that the subtask has been added, it's not nested under the main task. And in fact, if I check off the main task, it says this task is 50% done, but I have to actually close the subtask as well. Now, you think, well, maybe I'll just get rid of the subtask. Okay, right here, there's a delete button to do that, but you don't have that same structure for the main task. Overall, just this is a task system that's kind of a mess in terms of usability. So back in my grid view here, you can see that this task has 2 people assigned to it, but remember there's also a subtask with a 3rd person assigned to it, but there's no evidence of that from the main card here. I also can't update this little icon. Every single task is going to have that globe next to it. Overall, just pretty weird. I'm going to keep going through all the features, but I just want to say I'm not trying to be a hater here. I just think they have this idea that they need to have all of the features, whereas this product would be much better if they focused on one feature and just made it really good. The best sales CRM tool possible that has just a nice Kanban board with good automations and good integration with email. I think that's what people really want. We don't need all of these features that are kind of all half finished. All right, so let's continue over to the marketing section here. There's actually 2 sections in marketing. I'm only going to be able to show you one because my free account, which remember I purchased a paid plan, but it didn't get assigned to my account. My free account doesn't come with data bins. What a data bin is essentially a receptacle for webhooks. So if you want to be sending data in from a webhook on a form on your website, that information can go into the data bin, and then you can do stuff inside of the automation builder with it. So these 2 should probably be not so far away in the menu, but that's the way it is, right? So that's data bins. They have a video dedicated to it on their own YouTube channel. So go check that out if you want to know a little bit more about how those work. For now, let's check out forms. I only get 1 form on my free plan. I think the lowest tier AppSumo plan is 10. So I've tried to create one. It says you can't do it because you've already got one created. But let's go ahead and dig into this. So we've got the name of the form over here, how many submissions, when it was saved, the status, it's currently published, and then I can view the form, edit the form, or click the triple dots to share or view the form. So redundant here, but notice there's one thing that's missing. Delete. I can't delete this form, right? I want to show you from the beginning how to create a new form. Well, this is what it looks like. You give the form a name, but I can't actually go through that process because I've already got one created here. All right. Click on the pencil icon. We'll go into the editor. You can see what that looks like. Every single form starts with this welcome slide. You can't get rid of it. Hit delete question. You sure you want to delete it? Yes. It doesn't go anywhere. It says it was deleted, but it's still there. So you have to start a form with a welcome slide, which tells you right away that this is going to be kind of like a conversational form, like a type form type of interface, not just a nice little block of text you could say embed on your website. Not going to work that way. In fact, I don't think there's any embed options at all. The only way to display it is to simply link to it, with a link right here. For form questions, those are over here on the left-hand sidebar. We've got a few different types of form questions. We've got the welcome slide as well as a thank you ending slide. So those 2 are probably mandatory. Then we've got multiple choice, drop downs, date pickers, short answers, long answers, and numbers. So I'm not going to do a full form review here for you, but I want to show you a little bit what it looks like. I'm going to add a multiple choice question here. You can see that I can give this question a title. All right, so here we go. I filled out the question. What is your monthly revenue? And I gave 3 options: under 10K, 10K to 100K, and 100K plus. All right, now I can go ahead and make this a required question, make it multiple choice, and then I can have an exact number of choices that are available, like say 1 or 2 or whatever makes sense for the question. I can add other as an option. And if I wanted to add more options, I just click over here and simply add in additional options. I can change the theme by choosing one of these colors. Now, as I choose the color, nothing really happens on the screen. But if I click preview, it's going to load the form up and we'll wait. Will it ever load? I don't know.
6.5 hours later.
All right, so it's not ever going to load. So that doesn't seem to be working very well. So I went back into the builder here. My question was removed. So let's add in another question. I'll just kind of quickly add this in. Okay, so I went ahead and added a very similar question here. And notice that there's a save draft button. And now it looks like it's grayed out. Like I can't actually click it. It's this light gray with light gray text on it. So it makes me think that nothing has changed. But actually, I do have to click it to save the draft. So now that I've done that, let's go ahead and publish this once again. And we'll preview. There we go. This time it actually loaded. So I'll hit the start button up here. This was the default welcome slide. They didn't put any text on it. Notice there's up and down keys here, so I can probably toggle through the form with using my arrow keys. No, that's not working, but I'll click start here. And here's my question. Not formatted extremely nicely, right? It's kind of off to the side of the screen here. I'll choose one of the options. Now it's using that green template because that's what I chose. Actually, let's go back into the form builder here. We'll try a different one. I'll save this and reload. All right, now it's purple. So that's what the templates look like. I'll go ahead and answer the question here. And it says click to complete, submit, and then thank you. So that's what the forms look like. You know, just everything would look so much better if it were centered, middle aligned, center aligned. All right, so we're just about done looking at the forms. I want to point out that there's this button up here. It says create, and it just doesn't do anything. So the share button just, gives you the link to share, and then the preview we looked at, but the create button, not functional. I think the best form LTD that I've seen in a while was OpenForm. It was on AppSumo late last year. Hopefully it comes back at some point, but definitely would prefer to build my forms in a tool like that if I'm not using something like WordPress and whatever form builder you like to use on that platform. Now, what would be important to me in a form was, let's say I included a email address. So let's say it was something like a short answer. Let's add that, and maybe I made this like email address. There's not actually a way to like specify that I'm including an email address, but this seems very obvious. All right, so I've added this additional question to my form. What's your email? Now, like I just mentioned, it would be great if I could say only accept email addresses, and then it would check to make sure that the format is right, but there's no way to do that. So I'm gonna save this, and then we're gonna pull open this in a new window here. All right, so here is my form. Now, what I wanna do is have the form actually create a new contact. Let's do that with an automation. So back inside of my main window, before I complete the form again, I'm going to go over to AI tools and workflows, and let's create a new workflow. And of course, I'll just look for when a new form is completed. Oh, that option doesn't exist. All right, so I'm just going to fill this out and we'll see what happens with the data. All right, so I've submitted it, and under my forms, all right, so I've got 2 submissions. I would think I could click on the number to view them, but no, there's actually an I over here. So you click on that, and you can see some analytics about your submissions. Now, these are the submissions right here. So I'm going to click into the most recent one. Now, it looks like they were done on different days. That's confusing to me. All right, so here is one form submission, and here's the next. It must have just turned over to a new time zone. That's why they're on different days. So this is the one I just recently submitted, and I can see the email address in here. Now, what I don't see is how I'm actually supposed to get this data out and usable into my CRM. Now, this is something you might struggle with if you're using like a form builder on your website. Well, I got to make a connection over to your actual tool, but you'd think this should be done automatically without even needing to set up an automation, that everything would just be directly piped into creating a new contact when someone fills out a form. But I'm probably missing something because I imagine they thought about this too, but I don't know how to do it. All right, so we're almost done with the CRM section of NinjaPipe. Notice there's a toggle switch over here. There's an entire sales section as well, which I think of sales CRM as being the total package. So it's weird that these are divided. But you know what? I feel like I'm kind of just begging on this company at this point. I've gone through a lot of the features, showed how I would like to see them improved. But let's just hit a few more things here. So we're fully going through all of the options inside of the sales section. I'll give you a brief tour of the other sales section, the non-CRM sales section, and we'll just kind of wrap up the video after that. So under products, we can add all of our products or services that we want to offer. So I've added one here for a website management called Starter Plan. It costs $100, or excuse me, it costs me $100 to provide, and it costs the client $199 per month to actually buy. And that's essentially it. So we can add a new product. I'll show you just a sidebar over here. You fill it out with a name, add a SKU if you want, a description, whether it's an inventory or non-inventory product, whether it's going to be a service, add a product image if you'd like. We've got the unit pricing, the billing frequency, the cost, your profit margin, and it'll calculate that automatically. So if my cost is, or if my price is 100 and my cost is 50, it's going to show me a 50% margin. But you could mess with things this way as well. No, you can't, never mind. You can't type anything in there. Then we've got our currency. I chose US dollar, and our billing term. So let's say you want to do like a contract for 12 months. You could do that. All right, I'm not even going to save this product because I've already got one. And we looked at our pipeline. We had, let's say we had a lead going through that pipeline. Now, at some point, that lead might turn into a deal. So let's say Jim here, I was going to try to convert him into a deal. Typically in a CRM, I would see an option to move it over to a deal or something here, but not in this one. So we're going to go over to sales and deals, and I'm going to add a new deal, and I'll call this Jim's deal. Give it a description if you want. Choose the pipeline that it's associated with. I can add this into the pipeline if I'd like. We'll put it under, let's say, qualified. I have to choose my currency. It doesn't remember my currency, so I have to do this every time I create a new deal. I can give it an amount, let's say 199 for my starter plan. I can choose a close date if I like. The deal type, whether this is a new business or an existing business, that terminology is just confusing to me. I'm not sure what they're, whether it's a new business that we're working with or an existing business. And then we can associate this with a particular person. Now, we're seeing all of our team members as well as our contacts, which is confusing because then am I supposed to choose the team member that is closing the deal, or am I supposed to choose the contact that belongs to the deal? I'm not really sure. So you can add them all if you want. So let's go ahead and create this deal. And here's what it looks like. We can see recent communications related to the deal, documents we can upload right here. And then we get our deal overview in terms of everything that's involved. Notice there was no option to actually choose the products that were associated with the deal. We just set up our product. You think that might be mentioned inside of the deal, but it's not. That's coming later. So, this is negotiated. We're interacting about this. I don't know how we tie in. So let's say I was messaging, Johnny about this deal, and I've got my chat up with Johnny right here. How do I make sure that this chat is connected up to that deal? Because that's something that's pretty important, right? If I need to know all of the communications that have happened related to the deal, there's no way to tie that in. In fact, it can't check your emails either. It can send emails out, but you can't see your emails to say that here are the contacts associated with that deal. The communications associated with that deal is what I meant to say. But let's say by some miracle, we are able to close this deal and I want to proceed to the next step. Well, what you do is go under sales here and then choose quotes and invoices. From here, you're going to create a new quote, and we get this kind of weird full screen builder with, it looks like 5 different steps: deal, details, branding and buyer, line items, and signature and review. All right, let's go through this. I'm going to choose the deal. It's going to be Jim's deal, and we'll go ahead and hit next. Now, is this going to be a quote, an invoice, or a receipt? For now, it's going to be a quote, and I'll say invoice for Jim. Notice this gives it a URL, so I can share that URL with Jim. And now I get to add in my company information. Now, you may have noticed that I have already created a deal. When I was generating this one, I made a deal previously to try this out before hitting record. And I found it weird that I had to fill out all of this information about my company. I did it, but then it doesn't even save for the next deal that I create. So that's just weird. I have to do this every single time, enter my company name in, our address, our phone number. I can't add dashes on phone numbers, by the way, so that's a little bit weird. I just have to add it as a block of text or, like one string without any sort of separation. Then I have to upload our logo. So I've uploaded my logo, and you notice how squished it is. Well, I can make it bigger by choosing one of these other items, but that's a little bit weird since it's filling up the space. Why wouldn't it resize it proportionally? So if it's gonna, make it not as wide. And I have checked, I've downloaded the actual, at the end of this, it just spits out a PDF, and here's what it looks like. It literally just squishes it and makes it full width and looks terrible. I'm actually gonna show you one I've already created, so just to save a little time. So we've already gone through this step, details, all right, great. Then I filled out all of the information about the client here. And now in the next screen, which is step 4 out of 5, we actually add in our products that we want to associate with it. We can add a discount, a extra fee, a tax, and then essentially you can set up your reoccurring billing for this plan. Now, there's no integration with Stripe or any sort of billing mechanism. This is just setting up the quote to have the right information on it. So in the next step, we choose our signature options, whether we want to have a space for signatures and who should actually be responsible for signing. So here's a preview of what it's going to look like. And this is exactly what it looks like when we proceed to the next step. It just gives a dotted line and then the name for you to actually, you can't sign it through the application. As it says here, this is not a digital signature. It just leaves a physical space. Digital signatures are coming soon though. All right, so you hit generate, it downloads a PDF, and that's what I showed you before. The signatures are even on a second page with absolutely no connection to the first page. So if you printed this out, you'd have basically a page with two people's names on it, not at all connected to page one. It's just completely, this would not work. All right, so what if this actually became something that the client accepted? Well, then you would open it up and you'd change the details. I suppose you change it from a type to maybe an invoice, and then you'd go through the process again, and then it's going to generate the new invoice. And just for your comparison, the invoice says invoice, the quote says quote. Other than that, they're exactly the same. And then finally, it would turn into a receipt, right? And we go through this process again. We'd make it a receipt because that means it's paid for. I'm gonna point out that there's not even like a field where I could enter in information to provide like a checkout link for Stripe or anything like that. But that's all right. Or even a thank you message. There's a thank you message, but I didn't see any place to customize that. You'd think these are clickable up here to maybe like jump to a step, but they're not. Oh, here's the spot where you put the thank you message. So in that case, you could, put your Stripe link in or something. All right, so I take that back. That's on the details section, step 2. So before you've even, added your line items. All right, so now my quote has turned into a receipt. It still lives under quotes, so that's a little strange. Usually you want to have a record of all of the different things that you've created, whether it's a quote, an invoice, a receipt. But the only way I can think to do this that's at all reasonable would be to just, change it as you go, because there's no duplication button, no way to leave any sort of paper trail. So you probably don't want to use this for invoicing at this point. But let's say you finally make that sale, then things should pop over into the sales section, but they don't do it automatically. Of course, we've got to go into our customers here, and we can add a new customer by importing them all from NinjaPipe and say, okay, yeah, I want to import them. And then they show up. We got our products. And of course, our products are not tied to the other application. These are like literally two completely different applications that just have an import button. All right, let's bring those products over. Oh, execution failure. Try again. Nope, that's definitely not working. There's a budget section over here, but what budget for what? I'm not sure what this is supposed to mean, but I can add income. I made $1,000. And then I have an expense, and then I can see my budget up here. So my total budget was 0 to start with. I have 1,000 in income, 200 in expenses. So of course my remainder is negative 200. It's just like everything in this application is just not done. All right, so let's change my budget. I'm gonna start my budget at, $50,000. Now my remainder is 49,800 because my starting budget was, so what are we trying to accomplish here? I'm kind of confused. There's an order section where we can add in orders. Now, I don't know why this is not at all tied into the actual quotes and receipts and invoices. There's no option to bring this over from the Ninja CRM side of things. So we'd literally have to make a new order here. Let's go to Johnny Smith. All right, I filled out the form here, and then I've got a few different statuses. We'll add that. And now here's my order. I can mark it as complete. All right, now I have one total order that is complete. Go over to my dashboard. You can see I've made $1,000 in sales, $1,000 in income, 200 in expenses, one order, 2 customers. We get these little charts. There's a projection view, which just says 0, and then the current view. No automations, nothing on this side of the application at all. Everything seems to be entered in completely manually. All right, so we're gonna start to wrap this up. There's 2 things I need to do. I'm gonna check support, make sure they have not got back to me yet. I'm still on the free plan, but let's find out. Nope, no response. It's been many hours at this point. The other thing I want to do is check out my workflow. Did it ever run? No, it's not run. Okay. So yeah, I got to say, this has been a very tough review to make. I usually don't just beg on tools one step after another, but this is one of the least complete tools I've seen in AppSumo in quite some time. So I'm definitely going to be returning this one myself. I'm gonna give it a 4.1 just because I like the design. It looks nice. Otherwise, it definitely would be even lower than that. So if you like this video and maybe it saved you a little bit of time and money, you can go ahead and click my link down below to pick up anything else you want to buy on AppSumo. I do appreciate everybody who's been clicking my links. It means a lot, allows me and my team to continue to invest time into making these videos. As you can probably tell, they take a lot of time, both just physical time and mental energy to learn new applications, try to explain them in the best way that I can possible. So if you've got any questions about NinjaPipe, AmWork, anything in general, just leave me a comment down below. Make sure you subscribe and click that like button if you've not done so already. If you don't know who I am, I'm Dave Swift. I'm from clientamp.com. Go check us out. There are full written versions of all of these videos, as well as a free email newsletter you can sign up for. I've also got premium courses, and I can even work with you to help grow your online business. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next review.